About the best fighting the best. That's not the best fighting the best, but it's a fight there's a demand for it from the public because of their history. So that's why it's selling so well and doing so much business. How do I see it paying out? I don't know if Conor can give away the weight. I don't know. I hope he can.
Frank Warren just dropped a brutal reality check, slicing through the hype like a knife. This isn't boxing's finest hour. It's a circus act, riding on nostalgia and chaos. Warren doesn't pull punches. He tears into the matchup with zero mercy, branding it a spectacle fueled by public demand rather than genuine sporting merit. And he doesn't stop there. Warren goes in on Conor Benn, openly questioning if the man even belongs in the same conversation, let alone the same ring, as Chris Eubank Jr. He highlights the glaring weight discrepancy and bluntly says he doubts Benn can handle the physical difference. To Warren, Benn is a hype job walking into a disaster. The harsh truth? Benn's never carried real weight in the sport, and now he's about to carry too much, both literally and figuratively.
I think it's a mismatch on paper, of course it is. It's a fella that won a British title at welterweight, who hasn't boxed for a long time, against a failed world-class middleweight, so I haven't really got any interest, to be honest.
Egg slap not get you excited for it?
Not really, no. I'm not really an excitable guy.
Warren isn't buying into the dream. He sees a meltdown coming, and in his eyes, this ends not with glory, but with humiliation. Meanwhile, Dave Allen rips the mask off the whole thing. He calls it for what it is, an absolute mismatch dripping with desperation. Allen doesn't sugarcoat a word, shredding the fight as a pointless clash between a washed-up middleweight and a guy who barely scratched British level at welterweight. There's no suspense in his voice, no pretense. Allen isn't even trying to pretend he cares. To him, this bout screams gimmick, manufactured nostalgia cooked up for clicks and cash, not legacy. Allen's take is clear. One fighter's been out of the ring too long, the other has been exposed on the world stage. There's no real storyline, just smoke and mirrors, a forced narrative trying to distract from the glaring gap in quality. His apathy speaks volumes. This isn't a grudge match, it's a recycled headline, an embarrassment for the sport.
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
So the real question lingers. Are fans buying into the hype, or are they starting to see the cracks? On the flip side, Roy Jones Jr. brings a different kind of heat. He's not playing it safe either. Roy calls this a high-stakes chess match loaded with potential chaos. While he gives Chris Eubank Jr. the edge, crediting his size and experience, he refuses to ignore the wild card, Conor Benn's raw, explosive power. Eubank may be the slicker technician, but Roy warns that one early mistake could change everything. Benn has the kind of violent punch that can flip the script in a heartbeat. Roy doesn't trust Eubank to coast through this clean. He paints the early rounds as a war zone, volatile, dangerous, unpredictable. And while Roy still expects Eubank to come out on top, it's only if he stays
He might fight a bit reckless, he's throwing a lot of shots, he's moving. Sometimes I feel like Conor Benn can move unnecessarily too much early on, and that can burn energy. And finally compound that with packing on extra muscle. We might see a very fast start in Conor Benn, who slows, I'm not just talking about slows down, incrementally, I'm talking rapidly in this fight if he's actually put on too much weight.
Razor sharp from the opening bell. The moment he slips, Benn could detonate, and it'll be lights out. This isn't just a fight, it's a gamble with high risks and no room for error. Whether this ends in legacy or disaster depends on who blinks first. Conor Benn isn't just showing up, he's crashing into this fight like a wrecking ball, and the transformation is terrifying. This isn't the same wiry welterweight people remember. Benn looks like a man on a mission, packing on size and muscle like he's preparing for war. He's carved himself into a machine, and the physical evolution is impossible to ignore. His new frame screams one thing, He's not here to box, he's here to break. But that kind of size comes with serious danger. Ben looks primed to unload hell in those opening rounds, and this bulked-up version could be the most explosive.
I think Eubank will do it. I think this will be a good fight as long as it lasts, but I think Eubank will do it.
Is that because of the size and all the attributes Amir Khan mentioned?
I think with the experience and everything in it, to be honest, I think he's got the more experience as being professional, and since he's moved trainer, he seems to be a different fighter again.
Most dangerous Ben we've ever seen. He's not coming to fight. He's coming to annihilate. The burning question, can Eubank survive the opening storm, or will he get wiped out by this new monster? On the other side, Hughie Fury isn't pulling any punches either. He's throwing his full weight behind Chris Eubank Jr. and ruthlessly dismantling Ben's chances. To Fury, this isn't a rising star stepping up. It's a lamb walking into a trap set by a seasoned warrior who's been through hell and back. Fury doesn't just doubt Ben, he outright dismisses him. He calls Ben's resume fluff, padded with names that wouldn't last a round with Eubank. Fury insists Eubank Jr. isn't just the better man, he's a sharpened weapon. Since changing trainers, he's evolved into a calculated lethal fighter, sharper, colder, smarter. And here's the twist. Fury doesn't just expect Ben to lose.
I felt sorry for Junior because he is a 34-year-old man at the time. He wants his own thing. His father is always going to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's right to make his own decisions.
Simon, I see exactly what you're saying, because Nigel has stood back from Conor's career, and Chris Senior was right in the front at the beginning. And I think it's great that Junior is walking his own path.
So do I.
However, they have had horrendous tragedy.
He expects him to be dismantled and humiliated. Ben's never been dragged into deep waters, while Eubank has been forged in fire. And now, the size jump only adds fuel to the flames. The moment of truth is coming fast, and Ben's hype train looks like it's speeding toward a violent derailment. Then, out of nowhere, Steve Collins drops a bombshell that shakes the boxing world to its core. He pulls back the curtain on the chaos behind Eubank Jr.'s career, and it's more than just a fight. It's a war for identity. Collins doesn't mince words. He exposes the toxic dynamic between Eubank Jr. and his father, suggesting Chris hasn't just been battling opponents, he's been battling his own blood. While Ben has carved his legacy with Nigel Benn watching silently from the shadows, Eubank Jr. has been smothered by a father who refuses to step back. Collins paints a picture of a man trapped in a legacy, desperate to breathe, desperate to be.
But I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much. No. But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on a London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily. And you just, it gets to it's an intense build-up.
Free. And it gets deeper. He even touches on the personal tragedies surrounding the Eubank family, warning that the emotional weight might be heavier than any punch Chris will take in the ring. So now, the question isn't just who wins. It's whether Chris Eubank Jr. can finally break free of the chains or remain shackled by the shadow of a father who never let go. On the other side of the chaos, Tony Bellew tears straight into the emotional core of Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. For Bellew, this isn't just a boxing match. It's a full-blown grudge match soaked in years of bad blood, resentment, and unspoken rage. According to him, this fight has nothing to do with legacy, titles, or rankings. It's about pride, fury, and the kind of personal hatred that festers until it explodes. The tension between these two men has been simmering beneath the surface for far too long, and now the pot's about to boil over.
No, not yet. I need to see what he looks like on the scales. If there was no rehydration clause, I would pick Eubank, but I need to see what he looks like on the scales first, and then if there's a rehydration clause and he already looks bad, going to be a hard night for him.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you.
Bellew doesn't hold back. He claims the animosity is so volatile, it wouldn't take much for a simple press conference to descend into a full-scale brawl. One wrong word, one stare too long, that's all it would take. This isn't just hype. This is something raw and dangerous, and Bellew knows the signs. Drawing from his own career and bitter rivalries, he explains how deeply personal feuds can poison a fighter's focus. The emotional warfare becomes as intense as anything that happens inside the ring. It warps strategy, breaks composure, and causes even seasoned pros to unravel. And that's the wild card here, whether either man can keep their head on straight. When the bell rings, this won't be a polished chess match. This will be war, messy, brutal, and unpredictable. It'll be a street-level brawl dressed up as a boxing match. And that kind of
Jr. I mean, he's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more, it's Conor Benn. There's no doubt about that.
Chaos can either ignite something unstoppable or cause a total meltdown under the spotlight. But while the emotional tension dominates headlines, Carl Frampton is sounding the alarm about something far more technical and potentially catastrophic. He's not pulling punches when it comes to the brutal physical demands being placed on Chris Eubank Jr. In Frampton's eyes, this fight could be the start of a nightmare for Eubank, and no one's really addressing the elephant in the room, the weight cut. Eubank Jr. is already known for his grueling fight camps and extreme discipline, but Frampton warns that this time, the stakes are dangerously high. It's not just about cutting down. There's also a rehydration clause in play, and that changes everything. Frampton flat out says that if Eubank can't rehydrate properly after an already difficult cut, he could enter the ring at a fraction of his usual strength. That's not just a disadvantage, it's a ticking time.
Like repeat there, maybe that's what Eubank Jr. is thinking, that Conor Benn is going to come out and leave everything in those first 3 or 4 rounds, and if Chris is still there, it could be trouble for Conor, but Conor could knock him out. Barry could be right.
Bomb. Frampton's concern is real. Without these severe stipulations, he would back Eubank to dominate almost anyone in his weight range. His athleticism, durability, and sheer aggression have made him a machine in the ring. But even machines break down. Dehydrating the body at this level, then limiting how much it can recover, can strip a fighter of power, endurance, and mental clarity. And in a fight expected to be this volatile, that's not just dangerous, it could be career-ending. Frampton says he's waiting to see how Eubank looks on the scales before making any final judgment. That weigh-in could tell the whole story. If Chris looks even slightly drained, drawn, or unstable, it might already be over before it begins. In that case, this won't be a war. It could turn into a one-sided beatdown. And the worst part? It won't be because Eubank lacked heart or skill. It'll be because his body was sabotaged before he ever stepped through the ropes. The real issue here isn't just who wants it more or who lands the cleaner shot. It's about survival, mental, emotional, and physical. Can Eubank Jr. stay composed through a storm of emotion? Can he carry his power through a brutal cut and still perform under crushing weight restrictions? And can Conor Benn turn his rage into discipline long enough to finish the job? The answers are coming. And when the first bell rings, we'll find out who walks through fire and who burns.